Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to set 4 of STX versus Hwaseung Oz. In this matchup, we have Backho versus... Oh my goodness, why do I have to check this? Backho versus Hwasin. There we go. Okay, just had to look at the screen, I guess. Okay, so in this match, I think I'm going to favor... Personal favor... Hwasin, just because I love him from back in the day. He's more of an old school player. Backho is kind of an old school player, but Hwasin is real old school. So I definitely think I'm going to favor him in this one. Blue Storm. Okay, they're playing on Blue Storm. That's interesting. I didn't think they still had that in there. But anyways, on this map, it's pretty well balanced. I've seen actually a draw come out on this map, so that just goes to show how balanced the map is. So no specific statistical advantages anyways. Okay, so I lied to you. It just said Blue Storm on the screen, and the map is actually Destination. But regardless, you know, I'm going to be making mistakes throughout the day because it's completely live. Time is 10:24 right now for those of you tracking this, and I need to legitimize the fact that this is all being done live throughout the entire day. Okay, yeah, and apparently somebody's telling me here that the Blue Storm thing was from the game in their previous records, which makes a lot more sense. That's actually what I figured it would be. But yeah, so anyways, we have Backho spawning in the top position as the yellow Protoss, and it looks like he's going up for some cheese, which is completely viable on this map. I've said it time and time again that cheese on this map for a Protoss versus a Terran is a completely viable strategy. Excuse me, it doesn't necessarily open you up that poorly for a late game strategy either. He could just be going for a gas steal though. Now that we see the pylon going down in the main base for the Protoss player, it's a very viable option for, or it's very likely that he's just going in for a gas steal, which it looks like he's doing. He's dancing his probe around. What is he doing here? There's the gas steal. Okay, so the gas steal has gone down, and that's actually a pretty devastating maneuver to pull off. It hurts the Terran player severely. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how Hwasin copes with this. Although it was an early enough gas steal that he's not gonna be affected as harshly, I think, as it would have been had he stolen it later. It's still gonna be pretty damn bad for him, to be honest with you, but he can start attacking it a lot earlier, which is what I'm trying to get at here. But regardless, he's got an early scout in. He's going to see what's going on here, and actually the barracks is going down in kind of an off position. You would think with a supply depot in the front there. Oh, and he's putting down 2 barracks, so this is going to be an interesting play coming out of Hwasin here. I think he just wants the 2 barracks to put on some early aggression to kind of usher him into the late game in a better position than he would have otherwise. So he's now he's attacking that assimilator, so that the attacking of the assimilator kind of shows us that he is not going for an all-in Marine build here, but he does want to put on the early aggression. He might also suspect that there is some kind of cheese going on down his ramp. He hasn't scouted it yet, so I think that would have been a better idea for him to scout it. He's going to check it out now, I think. Yeah, his SCV is pushing out now. Or maybe he doesn't suspect it because he isn't even going to check in the typical position for it. So if Backho was cheesing, I think it'd be very effective right now. Other than the two barracks that are up right now. But regardless, we have to comment on the fact that there are 2 barracks up here, which is going to set the factory timing. Not to mention the assimilator being stolen. It's going to set the factory timing behind quite a bit, and the units that Hwasin is forced to work with here in the mid game or the early mid game is going to be Marines. So we're going to see what he's capable of pulling off here. And it looks like a probe going down the right side there. I'm not sure what he's scouting out for. Possibly, maybe, I don't even know, maybe another barracks or something like that. He knows that the factory timing cannot come out just yet. Or maybe he's setting up some kind of cheese here. He could be looking to set up a proxy robotics facility. Setting up in that position there it's very likely that he's going to set up for a proxy robotics facility, proxy reaver drop most likely. Probably not DTs. He could set up his proxy tech there, but setting up your proxy tech anywhere else on a more defendable position would be a much better option. So yeah, that's probably going to be the case. I didn't do the countdown. I'm just remembering now. Damn it. Anyways, the core is spinning, so range is being upgraded. So switching back into a very standard build here, going for the early range, and so yeah, setting up that robotics facility down in the bottom right there. The factory is finally going up now for Hwasin. Or sorry, I thought there was a robotics facility going up there. There it is now. So a little bit later than I thought, but yeah, that Dragoon is just going to be able to micro just fine against these Marines. Although if they hop in this bunker, they're going to get that +1 range that the bunker does give them. So the Dragoon is going to need the range upgrade to just outrange that bunker by 1 hex. So we're going to have to see if he's going to choose to put some pressure on that. I would assume that he would, just because why not? You know what I mean? And now we do see the barracks floating around here, though. So that that second barracks is not going to be used any longer to produce extra Marines. So to be honest with you, I don't think he actually needed them. Maybe just for defense, but because he did not put on any earlier pressure. So yeah, now these Dragoons are going to start hammering away at this bunker, and I love this strategy, this tactic of forcing the Terran player to repair. Because not only does it force the SCVs off the line, but it also forces the SCVs to repair, which you wouldn't think it takes that many minerals, but if you got 3 SCVs or so repairing for that much time constantly, it actually does do a lot of damage. And they're going to be the Dragoons are going to be hammering away at this thing for quite a while before that tank gets out. Once it does, I mean, he's going to be able to chase them off just fine, especially with that bunker there. But you know, in the meantime, he's losing a lot of minerals on repairs and on the lack of mining time that he's getting off of these 4 repairs being off the line. And that barracks has landed in that Nexus position, which is actually a really good play because as a Protoss player, you certainly do not want to. This is the race that you just cannot afford to put your Nexus on an off position. And actually, the funny thing about this is having 2 barracks, he can completely just leave that barracks there the entire time, and he'll be fine because he has a second barracks. If that barracks goes down, it doesn't even matter. He does not need to float that barracks away because he has a second one, and you know, you do need a barracks in the late game to set up for factories. But it looks like we're going to see an elevator here. He's just going to pull in all these units, an elevator right into the main here, and Hwasin does not see this coming. This could be extremely devastating here. However, if he fends it off, and wow, really good timing here coming out of Backho. Oh, now he sees it, though. He almost didn't see it because they were on the high ground, but they did shoot down. So Hwasin forced to defend here, losing a tank here, and wow, that Reaver shot actually dudded entirely. I think there are two Reavers out in the field here. I need to see him drop, though. No, there is just 1 Reaver out in the field. So these tanks are actually in really good positioning in accordance to these buildings. So taking down all of the Dragoons now, just 2 Dragoons left, and 3 Dragoons rather, 1 being hammered at by the SCVs, and those tanks are just setting up and slaying all the rest of these Dragoons. It looks like he's going to fend this off just fine. If a Reaver gets a shot off, however, on those SCVs, he's going to be in Hwasin's going to be in a really bad position. And we also have to mention the fact that Hwasin is not mining with all these SCVs, so he's not in that great of a position just because of the mining time being lost here. Now he's gonna pick off a turret there, and a Nexus is going down in usually what is the second expansion position for the Protoss player. So he's being forced to set that up because the aggressive build here, where he's sending all his units into the main base, it's disallowing him from taking down that barracks in his natural. And yeah, so he's just not being able to set up that Nexus. The probe transfer is now going on, and that Reaver is Backho doing a really good job of microing that Reaver around. And I have to comment on the fact that even though Backho has been out of the game for quite a while, his Reaver shuttle micro has been epic. I've seen him play a couple games recently where his Reaver micro is just epic. So yeah, I do have to commend him on that. Yeah, I think there's 2 Reavers there, and boom, a big Scarab going off there, just a huge Scarab, slaying a whole bunch of SCVs there, and taking out tanks and all kinds of good stuff. So this is definitely putting Backho in a really, really fine position here. However, Hwasin is, you know, a pro Terran player, and he is extremely good at positioning his tanks the way they need to be positioned, doing a really good job of repairing also, but he's going to need to produce a whole bunch of SCVs just to make up for the fact that he not only has he lost some, but he's also lost all that mining time. The Nexus has not gone down yet in the natural, and it looks like he's might be switching to either DTs or Arbiters. I did slip up on that in one of my previous games where I figured he was just going, Shuttle was just going